Hi, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about image views. These assets, they help us show images, basically digital photographs or icons in different parts of our applications. So let's get started. I'm going to head into Android Studio, start a new application, empty activity. I'm going to call it Images app. And then the moment our application loads up, I want to actually add some images to it. So I have some images in here. I've actually added two images that are basically images of Vancouver, where I live. Something you want to keep in mind is that in this method, which is basically adding images statically to our Android Studio applications, you want to avoid using images that are very, very large. So try not to go above anything that is like 1500 pixels, because otherwise we have to apply some image factory to it that resizes the images. So that's something that we can see in the future lessons, but for now let's go with images that are kind of smaller, about 1500 pixels. A regular size image would do. Just avoid very large images. So what you want to do is you actually want to add these images to your application. So in here I'm going to go to resources folder, res folder. In the res folder I'm going to go to drawable, and I'm going to drag these two images to my drawable. And then here I'm going to say yes, do everything that you're supposed to be doing, and it adds those two images to my Android Studio. Now we have to see how we're going to use these images. One of them is called Van Building, the other one is called Vancouver Image. Something to keep in mind is this: there must be lowercase letters. You absolutely cannot add images that they don't have lowercase letters or they have uppercase letters in them. Basically anything that you add in the res folder, there must be lower cases. That's why you have IC underscore launcher underscore background. All of them are lowercase letters. In the values you have the same thing, in the maps and the layouts. So that's something you absolutely want to keep in mind. So let's go ahead into my layout, and in my layout I'm going to go ahead, get rid of that. I'm actually going to go ahead and add an image view. And the moment you add an image view, it says which of the images do you want to add. I'm going to say I want to give it the Van Building. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And in here, that image, let's go ahead and resize this guy a little bit. I'm going to resize it and place it in here. Now, there are a few things we could change about it. Primarily, the thing that I want to actually change about it is something called scale type, which is a very important, a very useful thing to change. So scale type is basically how does your image actually show inside your image view? How does it resize itself to show it to you? I'm going to go ahead and say, give me something called a fit center, which is the default mode, which is going to try to fit your object or your image without making any changes to its proportions. How about we try something called, if I'm not wrong, I'm going to try center inside, which actually does a similar thing. The one that I actually wanted is fit center. No, sorry, that was the one I tried, right? Center crop. So center crop, what it does is basically it resizes your image in a way that it fits the entirety of your image view without changing the proportions of your image. You could, for instance, go ahead and say, give me a fit XY, which is going to try to squeeze your image inside your image view. But that's just usually not what we want, because we want to make sure that our image doesn't get stretched out or squeezed out. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we keep the proportions of it. Again, this really depends on what you are trying to do. I kind of like center crop for this example. So in this one, if my image was very wide, it would become like this. If it was very tall, it would become like that. And that's something, it's going to work for this purpose. Now, what I want to do next is I'm actually going to go ahead and say, let's fit this object horizontally and vertically. So it is there. And then the last thing is, I'm going to remember what is it called. It's called image view. Let's call it my image view. So that's the name of my image view. Now, this is all good and well, but it only works when you are in the layout editor. What if you want to change the image using the code in here? So to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead to my main activity, and in here in the on create, I'm going to go ahead and say my image view dot set on click listener. So whenever I click on my image view, what do I want to happen? I want to actually change the image in my image view. So I'm going to say my image view dot set image resource. Now the image that I already did use is called the van building, so I want to use the other one. So I want to say get me the resources dot drawable dot Vancouver image. So my image view, set image resource, and then the name of the image that I want to use. And that's as simple as it gets. Let's go ahead and run this application, and let's see it in my emulator. And here I have that image, and when I click on it, it changes to the other image, which is exactly what I expected to see. So quick recap of everything that we did. In here, we had an image view. We added our images into the drawable folder, and we set one of them using the layout editor, and the other one, we used it programmatically using set on click listener. Whenever we click on that image, it changes itself to show the other image. And that's all we have to do in here. And let's see, and let's move on to our next lesson.